Mm, 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 mm. Right. Where's that? Sweet couple of minutes. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, that'll do. Bro, what's up with that question? Oh, that's all right. Crack up. Oh, good. All right. Well, I've added you to the list anyway, bro. Where are we? Hello from Denmark. What are you all about? Oh, hello, mate. What's this? Two Tortoise Gaming? Bro, I just make content videos on YouTube, bro. Answering some questions tonight. Monday and Wednesday night lives, 7:30 till 8:30 thereabouts. Got a bunch of questions that have come through. NZ Outdoor Blades and Bullets. Kia ora, Dave. Tēnā koe, brother. Good coffee. Sup, bro. What you do? Yeah, well, hopefully I answered your question. Do reaction videos for the most part, answer questions, do some walk and talk interviews with people. But tonight, for this live anyway, it's just going to be responding to some questions from people, that have been sent through. So we'll see how we go. 7:30 now. Anyway, kia ora, g'day, welcome back. For anybody that is here, seems like there's a couple of people already on here. Two Tortoise Gaming. It's got nothing to do with gaming anyway, so I don't know if you want to stick around. Wednesday, 8th of July, live this evening for the second live of this week. So the Mondays and Wednesday night live sessions, you'll be able to catch those that want to, from 7:30 p.m. NZ time through to 8:30, or maybe a little bit later. Depends on how much of a role either I'm in or people are in terms of questions that have come through. So I'm going to run through these questions that have been sent through. First one is just, hey mate, can you post? Some of these should be hopefully pretty easy, so it may not even take till 8:30. Hey mate, can you post more of your daily training, or give a breakdown of the session you did when you post? Can you post more of your daily training? Yeah, probably can. If you mean post more in terms of like just leave the camera, let it run, and film the whole session, probably not. I'll probably just keep breaking it up, just because that takes ages when you just, when I hit record, and then if I just let it run for the whole time, like if that training session's going for about an hour or longer, it takes ages to bloody, not so much edit, but then upload and all that sort of stuff and transfer across. So maybe post a bit more frequently, if you mean post a bit more frequently in regards to training. Yeah, possibly. We'll see how we go. Again, mostly a lot of reaction stuff, and then the walk and talks with people, and that takes a bit of time. That last walk and talk on Sunday just gone, bro. Like, I've only just finished doing the initial edit of it to transfer it from the Insta360 platform into an MP4 format, so that I can now do the other editing and then add some overlays and stuff on top and that sort of thing. So that's been a bit of a mission. Anyway, you've got, or give a breakdown of the session you did when you posted. Okay, so I'm assuming you mean just put down a description, I guess, of what the workout was. Yeah, I guess possibly. So anyway, that's the first question. I suppose I can look at doing something like that, but I probably won't be doing the whole filming of the whole session, just because, like I said, that takes bloody it already takes ages with regards to the reactions and all that sort of stuff, and recording those and then transferring them, uploading, then downloading, then re-uploading to YouTube. So yeah, probably won't be filming the whole session like I used to with some of the other stuff that's on the channel. What does a typical day's eating look like for you? Oh, sorry. Carlo Parks, Billy, cheers from Queensland, cooking dinner for the dogs. So, well, I just got asked a question, typical day's eating, but you're cooking dinner for the dogs. So we'll be here and there. All good. And Ben Hayes, hi. Hey, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. What does a typical day's eating look like for you, Joe? Interesting. Funny that the questions that come through and maybe some of the timing. Billy's just cooking some food for the dogs. What do you train? Just everything. Nothing spectacular or fancy, bro. Like just whole body workout type stuff. Real basic, real simple. Yeah, definitely nothing spectacular. So I like doing body weight stuff. I like lifting. I like the Olympic lifts. Yeah, running, like just all of it. So training is training, and yeah, I just enjoy doing that. And from time to time, I post stuff on my channel. Typical days eating. Well, because I do the intermittent fasting, it's nothing spectacular or special. I think I've shared multiple times. Like I'll eat whatever I feel like, junk food, carbs, fats, protein, all that sort of stuff. I don't measure or weigh my food. If I'm hungry, I'll eat. Typically, my eating window might be anywhere from like a 2 o'clock in the afternoon starts, or maybe 6 o'clock, or if I'm extra hungry, maybe till 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, and then like from there, that's about it. Just water after that, but I'll have soft drink if it's there, and if I feel like it. That is, sometimes there is soft drink there, and I don't feel like it. But typical days eating, yeah, I suppose it's not always the same. Sometimes it might just be one meal. So as for today, as an example, this is an example of a typical day's eating. What have I had to eat today? This afternoon, I think I hadn't eaten anything till about 5 o'clock this evening. So got up, trained this morning, did what I do, did my work and stuff and some reactions, edited, uploaded those, but they're scheduled to go so I can sort of be a few days ahead. And then I got peckish. Yeah, it must have been just before 5 o'clock this evening. So I had a bowl of Nutrigrain with Just Right. I sprinkled 3 spoons of Milo on it, full fat milk, none of that blinking light rubbish. Full fat milk, had that, and I had a Milo. I had 2 like tablespoons of Milo in that. Had a spoon of honey with that, full fat milk again, and what was it? Oh, and there was some bread on the table, white bread. It was white bread, toast slice. I'm not sure. I think my wife grabbed it from the bakery part of, or the other bread that's there in that bakery section in the supermarket. And I had 3 slices of that. So that's what I've had to eat today. And the rest has just been water. So it's not always like that. Sometimes it might just be eggs and sausages. Sometimes it's blanking noodles and eggs. Sometimes there's some chicken and blanking just chicken and or just meat or whatever. There is avocados and stuff at home. Haven't had any of that for a while. There's bananas and fruits. Haven't had any fruit today. That's all I've had to eat today. That cereal, the 3 bread, and a Milo with full fat milk. So yeah, it does change. It's just whatever's at home, really. Like we got heaps of cans of baked beans, got spaghetti. Like I'll eat whatever's there. If my son decides to buy some junk food or whatever, and or if I get some junk food, then I'll have junk food. Like just within that time frame, roughly thereabouts. Because I ate a bit later, I don't feel hungry right now. I'll just drink some water. So that'll probably be it for the day in terms of what I've had to eat. No, I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian, so don't go taking any eating tips from me. Or if you do so at your own risk. I'll get to that one. What did you have here? Good answer. You got any good suggestions for a man with bag problems in my incus nerves? Huh? Nope. No, I don't. You got any good suggestions for a man with bag problems in my incus nerves? Yeah, not sure. Did you change your diet when you were training for SF, or has it stayed similar? Oh, good question. my diet, the way I ate before. So if you're talking, yeah, both NZ and Australian selection was way different. Like I wasn't doing intermittent fasting before New Zealand selection or the Australian selection. So my intermittent fasting process has probably been like this, geez, for probably nearly 20 years now. Maybe not quite, or maybe thereabouts, maybe just under. So yeah, prior to that, before NZ selection, before the Australian selection, whilst I was in, I still pretty much ate whatever, and I ate whenever I felt hungry. Geez, I didn't really eat because it was like supposedly breakfast time, and then lunchtime is midday, and then dinner time at a set time in the evening. I think I've always predominantly just eaten when I was hungry, so that's why I think the intermittent fasting sort of felt a lot better for me. Like, and I've probably been able to find it a lot easier to consistently just keep my weight in and around about where I usually sit. So, which is usually these days anywhere between 93 to 96, 98 kgs. That's roughly where I sit quite comfortably. That's probably, I probably could be lighter. Not probably, I could be lighter. But yeah, I'm just not, because I'm not really focusing on trying to get lighter. I'm not trying to get bigger either. So I'll come back to that. But yeah, my eating habits are probably more like probably, I guess, the typical traditional way of eating: breakfast in the morning, lunchtime, midday, and then dinner in the evening, and then snacks and after dinner in the evening as well. Especially when I was prepping for selection, like I was eating quite a heck of a lot, but not necessarily good quality foods or whole foods. Like, yeah, there was a fair few pies going down range in the evening, and chocolate bars, and blinking orange juice, and sweet flavored drinks in the evening and stuff, which maybe helped with my recovery. I don't know, or maybe it hindered some of my training and progression. There's actually some questions in here around some of that a bit later on. What's this? Good coffee. Serious technical question. Who's better at pulling the ladies? He says Delta or Seals. Well, I was never any good at any of that. So, and I was with the SAS, but mind you, there were some guys that were good at it. I haven't done specifically any work with Delta or the Seals. They talk a big game there, so maybe Delta and Seals do. But what I would say is, some of the lads that I know of that did all right with the ladies from the regiment, I guess you'd say they held their own. That wasn't me though. I didn't even have the courage to ask my wife out. So yeah, there's no way I was going to be out and then asking somebody out. It's this, yes, I try to eat during a certain period as well, as I got digestion issues. Oh, okay, with certain foods. Yeah, okay. Hey, listen, I'm really fortunate. I don't seem to have any like lactose intolerant or digestion issues with any sorts of food. So, but I am aware of people that do have things like that. I've been asked that. People did ask me if I had certain, like if I was allergic, allergies to certain foods and stuff. I said, not that I'm aware of. So I've been very fortunate in that sense. So I try to stay consistent with what I eat, prioritizing whole foods. That's awesome. Like, honestly, I should do that, but and don't get me wrong. I mean, like, if there's, like I said, I'll just eat whatever's around home. But if there's good food, if I decide to make a nice meal, or my wife does, or whatever, something like that, like, I'll enjoy. Like, it does taste, yeah, it does taste really good. But yeah, pretty low maintenance. Like, I can look at the shelf now and go, "Oh, yeah, I'd eat any and all of that stuff on our shelf. Sardines up there, blinking little canned stew stuff and that up there, canned food, cereals. Yeah, I suppose it helps if you're going to buy food and put it on the shelf, that hopefully you're going to eat it. Just need to increase quantity as I'm trying to gain weight. Yep. Okay. I personally have been fortunate. I've not really had any issues when it comes to gaining weight. Not that I've actually, no, there was a period of time where I was trying, like when I was in battalion, like, because it was the normal thing. Bodybuilding was all the rage. So yeah, I was definitely trying to put on, not weight, I'd say I was trying to put on muscle and size at that time. So was this picking the seals have better hair gel? They probably, bro, they probably got better hair too. Hair on top and on the face. Crack up. Hard case question. Yeah, I had issues digesting certain foods and I got tested for it. Yep, okay. It's mainly wheat that's the issue, so no bread, pasta, etc. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that sucks, man. That's interesting, eh? How people, even uh, if I'm thinking like hereditary wise, in our family, three of our children have got eczema. Neither my wife or I have eczema, but my mum has eczema. And it's weird how it seems to skip generations. So our oldest child got eczema, second child got eczema, third child absolutely nothing, fourth child nothing, fifth child I don't think she got any either, and then the sixth child has got eczema. So 3 and 3, just yeah, interesting to me, and I think some of that because we did look at the food and diet and stuff as well, and around maybe that was affecting their eczema and that sort of thing. But crazy, yeah, I'm like 6 foot, 6'4", what? 6'4", 76 kgs, trying to get to at least, yeah, man, you're light, bloody tall, bloody giant, but jeepers, only 76 kilos, you're light, bro. Yeah. I didn't have an issue when I was younger, which was weird, but seemed around early teen years started to get issues. Right, gotcha. That's crazy. Yes, man, 76 kg. Man, if I probably met with a doctor or a nutritionist, they'd probably say I should be about 76 or 80 kilos instead of the 95, 96 that I'm at the moment. Might be normal or something, might be hormonal. Yeah, yeah. So we'd been looking, what is it, Eat Right for my blood type. There were all these sorts of books, meeting with specialists with the kids and that sort of thing. They seem to have it under control and managed now, not using like the steroid creams and that sort of stuff these days, but still it does flare up at different times for them based on the weather and season and stuff, it seems to be as well. So probably hormones, season, diets, all that sort of stuff, maybe hereditary or genetics, whatever. What's this? When are you interviewing Jamie Pinnell? Great question. I heard back. I mentioned in another live actually. So I heard back from Jamie. He can't do this school holidays. It's just a bit hectic for him. He did ask if I wanted to do it the traditional way, which would have been online. I said, nah, bro. Like, I'm happy to wait and go to him, travel to him up in Auckland when he's got time. So if it's not the school holidays, I'm happy to wait till maybe the next school holidays or another time. So for me, and the reach out to the people that I've asked if I can do a walk and talk interview with them, it's an open-ended invitation. Um, there's no cutoff date. Like, I'll work in with them and try to, you know, fit in as well as I can or make adjustments. If I get enough notice, then I can, I should be able to make it to the different places to go catch up with them. So those that sent through questions for me to ask Jamie, I've got those compiled away. I'll get to those when I have the opportunity. So he understood. He said, "Yeah, all good, no worries." So I'll follow up with him probably prior to the next school holidays, and hopefully we'll be able to connect. He said, "Yeah, maybe try to follow up with him again later because once school starts back up, then he's back into the twilight zone." He said, "Quite a hard case." What else is there? And then on that, no, there isn't a question on here, but just seen as the one about Jamie's already there. Janaya on Instagram, the blinking super strength athlete, the Leonidas. Those that don't know him, check him out, Janaya on Instagram, JANNAIA. AIA? Yeah, yeah, I think that's it. Fuimaono, Fuimaono, I think is the spelling of his surname. Similarly with him, we were supposed to catch up and connect. I sent him another follow-up message on IG recently, and then he apologized. He said that was his bad for missing the emails that I'd sent through. Yeah, it's just been a bit hectic. So maybe in August, so next month. So we'll follow up with him then, and looking forward to getting out and going for a walk. He actually said to me, he goes, "Yeah, we can go run along the Blinken, the Hutt River or something like that," I think he called it. I said, hey, no, 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 no. This is a walk and talk, bruz. This is my interview. We're going for a walk, we're not going for a run. So otherwise I won't be able to get the questions out. Yeah, so that's Jamie and that's Janaya. Hey mate, what's happened to your IG? Oh, we'll come back to that one. Hang on. Yeah, I realized I wasn't eating enough before. Now I'm in more of a routine. Yeah, awesome. That's cool. I think that your habit and routine, is it Ben? Ben Hayes, being in that habit and routine will likely definitely help. And then the quality of the food, which you're already onto anyway. Good coffee. Did you ever meet Norm Piri? Was in battalion, but not sure if you were in Oz by then. No, the name doesn't sound familiar, Bo. Norm Piri. Can't say I had the privilege. Ben, this make you feel better. I'm 6 foot, 67 kgs. Eat every chance I get. Haven't ever been able to gain more than a kg or two. Holy heck. Jason C, man, your metabolism must be through the roof, bruz. just a constant furnace just burning the whole time, and then just whatever you're putting in, it's just consuming and using up. Yeah, I can't say. Well, I know my metabolism definitely isn't like that. and if I didn't do some moving and exercise each day, even though it's nothing fancy or spectacular, then I'd probably be a bloody oompa loompa. Where are we here? Hey mate, what's happened to your IG fan Spears Brad? Did you scare him off? Question mark. Seriously though, that guy sounds like a loose cannon. I'm glad he isn't spamming you anymore. Why didn't you just block and ignore him? You had a few questions in there. So, hey, yeah, like Spears Brad is the one that initially made contact to me. He goes by Steve Azula on YouTube. If he hadn't have messaged me, I wouldn't have messaged him. To your second question, why didn't I just block or ignore him? I think I shared enough times, like the inner child in me, just when I got his message and his comments, I thought, who is this twat? And so, yeah, so I engaged. And holy heck, lo and behold, he sent through some bloody ruthless comments. But to be honest, they did make me laugh, just like they still do now. But yeah, I could have blocked them and ignored them. And I think I shared there a few fellas, ex-operators and ex-military guys in general, that said, don't engage with him. Like you're better than that, basically. Like just leave him. And I was like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna engage in this. So where he is now, I don't particularly care. I don't really worry about him or think about him. Not until this question come through. So yeah, that wherever he is where he is. I don't particularly care. I'll come to that. It's this hard work farming. Oh geez, well that'll bloody make the difference too. What's this? I'm 5'9" wide. Great mate. Crack up. Hey, but I know, Craig May, you're on your journey. I don't remember word for word your comment recently though, but sounds like you're on your way, bro. So what was it one of the last messages I saw, 1 week off the piss, I think you said. So on the dry. And I think I did ask, like, was that just part of this dry July thing? But it seems like, no, you're making a conscious effort to make some changes, which is awesome, bro. So wish you knew nothing but the best and success on your journey. It's going to be a bit of a grind. You shared with me the size that you are now and the size that you're wanting to get to. Not easy, bro. Especially as we age, and you're older than me, as you pointed out, but can still be done. Like if the commitment is there, if the heart is there, and you're willing to push through that, then I can wishing you every success on this journey. Carlo Park, speaking of engaging subs, live blew up tonight right when he played your interview, Joe. Right when he played your interview. Speaking of engaging subs, live blew up tonight right when he played your interview. I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean shubs, or are you talking about subscribers or something? Sorry, bro, I'm not sure. Going strong. Awesome. That's awesome to hear, Craig May. Carlo Park, sorry, bro, I'm not sure. When he played your interview. Oh, do you mean with shubs when we had our catch up today? Maybe, possibly. Yeah, I've been making more rice bowls and stuff with healthy fats that have high calorie amounts, but I don't like track macros and whatever. I just like having a health-based mindset. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a great way to go about it. Plus, it just seems like extra. When I was interviewing Cameron Holmes, Layers with Cam, he was talking about like him and his partner, like they were weighing all of their food and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, they were competing in their physique type stuff. So I guess that's just a thing that they do. So many grams per pound of fat and protein and weighing all that stuff up. But man, I was like, that just sounds extra stressful to me anyway. So yeah, it's cool that you just got a health-based mindset. Just need to start training more, but I'm increasing weight first. Nice. Well, I personally, you know your body better than me, but I think you can definitely Sorry, Shubs. Oh, yeah, okay. Cheers, Carlo Parks. Yeah, Shubs. Okay, I think I'm with you now. Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. Speaking of engaging, Shubs live blew up tonight right when he played your interview. Oh, cool. Just need to start training. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, Ben, I think, you probably are doing it already. And you're saying just need to start training more, but I'm increasing weight first. I don't think there's anything wrong with training at the same time while you're looking to put some size on. I know that works, having done it prior to selections and that sort of thing. Eating, well, I may not have been eating the best food, but I was eating a lot and training at the same time, and I did put on some size. So you're probably already doing it anyway. What's a sorry, Shub? Someone jumped on chat and pressed some buttons. It went off. Oh, good coffee. What's your thoughts about the Iran war and the real reason behind it, bro? That's interesting, eh? Iran war, real reason behind it. Man, I haven't delved into any conspiracy theories and that sort of stuff. I've actually watched probably a lot more politics than what I've ever watched before. So much so to the point whereby I'm like, actually, I think I might actually vote. If I was in Australia, I would definitely bloody vote. Here in NZ, I may very well vote whenever the next election is. Got to figure out when that is next. But Iran war and the real reason behind it, I don't know if you can go past the the thoughts of just people with greed, the thoughts and comments of, hey, maybe my channel will start getting spammed or monitored. The comments in and around Israel having their hands in all these different things, like, I don't know, bro. Like, I was just a pleb bloody soldier, just enjoyed my work and been working with the guys and just doing what we thought was the right thing to do at that time. Now I'm just a bloody YouTuber, just spinning my 2 cents based on videos that I watch, and then giving a reaction to it, and or trying to answer the questions that come through, that I've got in here through messages and then in the chat. So I'm always interested and keen to hear what other people think in and around it. But Israel's seems to have a part in there. Maybe the more I say Israel, maybe the more my channel gets flagged. Who knows? Greed, can't help but think greed is somewhere in amongst that. And then there's all these other videos. I don't know, for some reason my YouTube channel gets popped up with these, what's this, Pete Teal, whatever his name is, and all these secret bunkers that billionaires and stuff are building around the earth. Like, unless they've figured out how to live forever, like, bros, we're all going to die sooner or later. Like, having a bunker, I don't think's really going to help that much. Like, whenever it's time for us to go, it's time for us to go. But anyway, unless they're bloody connected with the aliens and got the secret to life and be able to live forever. Nuts. But yeah, if anybody's got their thoughts on what's caused it, or yourself, good coffee, feel free to share. Ben Hayes, I like doing push-ups and stuff and weights at the gym. Awesome. I like going to the gym and do stuff I can't do at home. Yeah, nice. Gym's a good place for that, eh? I could do core stuff at home, but I might get a little setup in the garage or something. I definitely find it's great to have, like, just convenient to have your own setup at home. For me personally, anyway, we've been blessed and fortunate to have a gym at home since our children were like babies. So it's always been nice to just train at home and have my own little sanctuary. It used to be indoors in garage, which was out of the weather. But now it's just a different adaptation to have to put up with some of the weather and get outside. What's this? What's the youngest and oldest someone has passed essay selection, Joe? And how old were you when you did it? Did you pass first go, or did it take you a couple of goes at it? Oh, okay. Youngest or oldest someone has been? I can't answer that question for certain, bro, in NZ or Australia. I can speak to one of the oldest guys. He was on the selection before me, but he was on my cycle. He was 37, 38 at the time on my cycle, then turned 39, I think, by the end of cycle that year. So that's, that's getting up there in age, I suppose. But if you look at the UKSF, some might say that's probably around, mid-30s, early to mid-30s is probably, some might say, ideal time to do selection. So I guess it's just all a matter of mindset and how you feel. And hopefully if your body's held up enough, because you've got a few runs on the board, a few kilometers and clicks and Ks, however you want to describe it, on the clock by then, a few miles or whatever, niggles and pain and joints and that sort of stuff can feel a little bit stiff, I suppose, for a number of people. What I can say is that fella definitely didn't seem to be that way. He was hammering all of us, including me, as a 21-year-old. So, at what age? How old was I? How old were you when you? So I was 20 when I did selection in NZ. 21 by the time cycle rolled around. So during cycle, um, and then in Australia, it was about 2 years later. So 22, would have been 23 um, by the time I did selection, and then probably turned 24. I think maybe turned 24 during the cycle. Um, Still apparently very young by UKSF standards, from what I understand. Or maybe not so much the 24, or yeah, maybe not so much the 23, 24, maybe. But I think from what I've seen and from what I've heard, and some of the peanut gallery and some of the comments when I've done videos and stuff, and some of the reactions, um, have not been pleased that I did selection at 20. There's been several people that have done selection at 20, so I'm definitely not the youngest. And I think I've shared before in another video, I had heard that there was somebody that might have been 19 in the NZ one when they did selection, and then I think they turned 20 maybe just before cycle, or during their cycle, one or the other. So as far as I'm aware, there's somebody that's been a heck of a lot younger than me, at least from the NZ side. Well, I don't know for sure, but that's what I've heard. There's been several people that have done it at the age of 20, at least in NZ, that I'm aware of. I'm assuming maybe possibly similar in Australia, probably 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds. Geez, as I say that now, I think, far out, that's young. but but it's just, it's not impossible either. Yeah, there's limited life experience, still got a lot of maturing and growing up to do. At least I did anyway. Um, but yeah, I don't see any reason why, if you've got all the other systems and structures in place and you've got senior operators within the unit, which both those units had and still do have, and UK 100% would have as well. But the way that they do theirs is different. So I'll actually, maybe not specifically to that, but I'll probably be doing a follow-up video later on in regards to that, in one of the essay selection question videos that I did recently, and some follow-up. But if I try to speak to that now while I'm here, obviously different systems, tried, tested, proven, NZ, Australia, UK, for what they do and how they do it. NZ, Australia, fairly similar. They've got a selection process first, and you go into the cycle. UK is just all bundled together. So with, I suppose, probably the going straight into some of the more complex type stuff and soldiering skills that you need to have from a UKSF perspective, it probably makes sense as to, well, not probably, it makes sense as to why they expect a, was it 4 or 5 year minimum service before you can even apply to do the UKSF selection, because they'll roll straight from their aptitude and hills and all the navigation stuff, and then straight into like their combat survival or patrol procedures, whichever comes first. And they've got their black roll and CQB stuff, counterterrorism, demolitions, parachuting. They've got a whole bunch of things, which I think, if you, for the UK side of things, if you haven't got some experience, particularly in and around soldiering and more to do with weapon handling and that sort of stuff, and then their whole selection process being combined together, not sort of broken up into two segments like NZ and Australia, then that's probably a big part of the rationale. I'm assuming here, I don't know. Whereas in NZ and Australia, you've got can be young, get through that selection piece, and then go on to cycle, and then having guys that are experienced and seasoned and got lived life experience as well as operational experience, their ability to train and all that sort of stuff, mentor and guide younger soldiers coming through, or new soldiers coming through. It's probably a testament to how their system and stuff works. So they, the instruction and stuff that they provide is excellent as far as I'm concerned, and it is set up in such a way that, if, regardless of the age of the person, so again, the guy that was turning 39 on my side, 38 or 39 on my cycle, I turned 21, sort of nearly 20 years apart, sort of thing. That their ability to train and get the messages across and assess candidates as being able to competently apply those things, like, I think is a testament to the process and the system that they have in place. And then once you go in and you're the new person, and you're surrounded by that, again, that same level, if not higher level of experience again within the squadrons, I think, young people can assimilate reasonably well. Those that are, got a reasonable level of intelligence, you don't have to be an Einstein. Like if I got in, then pretty much anybody can get in. As long as you've got a good pragmatic approach to a lot of things, you're keen and you want to be there and you're driven, that'll come through. And then just watch, listen, learn, and take on board what it is that they're teaching, and then try to apply that to the best of your ability. So, as with anything, I guess. Yeah, did that even answer that question? Youngest, oldest? Me, did you pass first go? Oh, yeah. So yeah, I was fortunate to get through selection, pass selection in NZ the first attempt, and then got through and passed selection in Australia on the first attempt as well, which is cool. Good to not have to go through it again, but the only reason I joined the army was to go there. So had I failed, and I think that mindset helped a lot. Had I failed, I was just going to go back again. Didn't matter. So, well, it matters, and it would have mattered to me, but thankfully, I didn't have to go back and do either of those selections again, if that makes sense. How much of a factor do you think sports science plays in essay selection preparation and it actually helping people to pass? Um, how much of a factor do you think sports science plays in essay selection preparation? I think that's up to the individual, eh? Like during my time, my generation, whatever you want to call it, and generations before, I'm pretty sure sports science didn't play a part in any of it. Like that's just my honest take. Like I wasn't speaking to any sports scientists, people about preparation for selection. I wasn't looking at and focusing on my recovery and how important that is for performance and all that sort of stuff. So, how much of a factor? I don't know. Maybe it plays a factor these days. I know in Australia they have an arrangement with Australian Institute of Sport, I think it is, and they have a recovery protocol at the end of selection, which we never had when I was over there. Which sounds awesome. I think it's a 2 week. Don't quote me on it, but I've heard that it may be a 2 week recovery protocol when those candidates who are successful in completing the selection and are passed and are going on to the cycle. Maybe they still have the protocol the same for those that might pass but don't get selected to progress onto the cycle. So it's apparently this 2 week AIS protocol, which is apparently pretty cool from what people have, from the whispers that I've heard anyway. I don't know, I've never participated in it. But prior to selection and helping preparation and then helping people to pass, I would say that, it, it probably can't hurt. Like I haven't, even though I don't personally know what it's like to work with a sports science person prior to selection and any of that sort of thing, um, it probably can't hurt. But at the same time, I think a lot of people had and have spoken with PTIs, so the Army's version of maybe a sports science person, physical training instructor. They go through a heck of a lot of training and education, theoretical, practical. They have to meet very high physical standards and stuff as well in terms of their physical performance and ability. Um, there were a number of people that worked closely with PTIs who, you know, can give a lot of really good advice. I'd probably, like I said, have them similar to a sports science type person. But I think, and maybe it sounds a bit blinking pig-headed or arrogant, maybe it's not meant to, but I think if a person hasn't gone through or done selection or attempted it or applied, even stepped on the start line, I think it's hard for um, that person to have I don't know, maybe whether it's the psychological, mental aspect part of it. They may be blinking absolute gurus with all the physical stuff, and preparation and timing and periodization and programming and recovery, etc., etc. um, where was I going? But maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'd have to speak with some sports scientists and then get an idea of how many people they've helped and those people that have worked with sports scientists. So there's probably a bunch of people out there that have worked with sports science people that probably swear by them, and these days that have helped them get through selection. And maybe they put it all down to that, to the programming, to the nutrition, to the recovery that the sports scientist person was able to give. And that's what helped them. But yeah, I don't know. If somebody hasn't done selection, and is giving advice on the best ways to prepare is probably where I'm coming from. I don't know. I just think there's some gaps there personally, for what it's worth. So I probably didn't answer the question. How much of a factor do you think sports science plays in essay selection, preparation, and it actually helping people to pass? Yeah, who knows? Actually, one thing I will say, Nick Caldwell over at the Mill over in Perth, Western Australia, ex-SASR, we're on the same selection cohort and stuff together. They do quite a lot of not only their training for the members at the Mill gym, but also with candidates that they help prepare for selection. From what I understand, they use a lot of science-backed results and studies to help people that they've helped, and a large number that they've helped pass selection very successfully. So I think science obviously plays a part in anything. I think maybe with the support of people like Nick and them, utilizing that data and information that they've received from wherever they've grabbed that from, and then supporting candidates that are preparing for selection, I think those candidates likely get the best of both worlds. They've got people that have actually been through it, and then they've got backed by and supported with some of the science to help them to then transfer and pass it on to candidates. And maybe that enables them to be more successful. So maybe that helps answer it that way. But yeah, I think sooner or later, there's a point where, it doesn't matter what science you've got. Doesn't matter how much science is involved and how many T's you cross and I's you dot. At some point, it comes down to, I think I like what Jamie Pinal says, comes down to tika and spine and heart and mindset and drive and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know that you can develop probably, obviously, some of that stuff through hard things and the training and things that you do. But yeah, everybody's mind can go to some very dark and different places when it's confronted with the stuff that happens during the selection. That's my take anyway. What's it say? I don't know who said it. What gets counted doesn't always count, and what really counts can't always be counted. Something like that. Hopefully I said that right. What gets counted doesn't always count. What really counts can't always be counted. So take that as you see fit and decipher that in your own way, but it means something to me in terms of, just life in general, actually. I'll come to that one. Sorry, it wasn't here. Uni, career. A couple of questions. What made you leave the SAS? What's the typical age someone leaves, and what was the salary like? I'll start from the end. Salary was great. Not that was why I joined. I think I'd spoken about this recently, actually. Australian salary was probably, well, not probably, it was more than double what the starting salary was for a trooper in NZ at the time. What's the typical age someone leaves? I don't know that there's a typical age. I think, again, everybody's different, but that people would probably stay in for a minimum 5 years, maybe, 3 to 5 years minimum, and then beyond. If guys are really enjoying it, probably stay in for as long as they can. I was one of those guys who thought he would stay in the army for at least 20 years. Never thought I'd get out, which may come into your first part. A couple of questions. What made you leave the SAS? I made a stupid decision when in Australia, whereby, and I've done a video on this, actually. It's still up on the YouTube channel. I've no intention of taking it down, because the purpose of it was to, hopefully any other candidates that go there and or operators that get in there don't make the same silly decisions I did. So I didn't want to do this promotion course that they had. We'd just gotten into the unit, we'd deployed on operations, come back, we were doing some more training preparation, because at that stage it wasn't too sure how things were going to go with Afghanistan. So we come back from Iraq later in 2003 after deploying and during that second Gulf War, looking for the WMDs. And we come back, and then it was into, more training and preparation. Like, that was pretty much the cycle anyway. And then I was one of the guys, one of the handful of guys from my squadron that hadn't done the Sub 1 course. And so we got panelled and put on it. And I thought it was just a miserable course. It was only going to be about 6 or 8 weeks. So one of those things that in hindsight, I should have just bloody bit my tongue and gone and just done the course. Anyway, I packed the sand and said, no, I'm not doing this course. Course rubbish. I got flown over to Melbourne with the lads who were doing the course, I think maybe a week, not even that, maybe less than a week. And I was like, yeah, no, this is rubbish. Like, I don't want to be marching around a parade ground. I don't want to be doing this. Like, there would have been march parade ground stuff, some theoretical aspects, some lessons in instruction where you learn some of the basics of being a junior NCO, a junior leader. And I was like, I already know how to do this. Like drill, I wasn't great at it, but I knew how to do it. And I was like, I don't want to be standing on a parade ground, all that sort of stuff. So I packed the sad, said, no, I'm coming back. I did go back after my bosses tried to convince me and sway me to stay. Went back, and then I called the bluff of the CO, who said, well, there's some meetings backwards and forwards, and ahhing, some of my leaders going in the bat for me. And then eventually the CO said, well, he'll need to show cause as to why I should still stay here. So I wrote a letter, and then they said, well, you can't give this to the CO. And then I got just hit with an ultimatum, like, go and do the course, or, you probably won't be able to stay here. And I thought, whatever, like, you've invested too much time and money. This is what I foolishly thought. I was like, what they'll change their mind. And so I said, oh, okay, I'll get out then. And then I went through the process, and then, they didn't say, no, don't. Okay, we'll wait and reassess. This is what I thought they would do. You can, we'll panel you on it down the track, and you'll have to go do it in a few years' time or whatever. By which time, again, I would have been resistant to it, I know, or I'm sure I would have been. But they didn't stop my discharge. So that's why I ended up getting out. That's the shortened version for you in terms of the question that you've asked. What was that? Corey Gardner. So thanks for the question. But there's a video and stuff on YouTube about it, and I shared that in the hopes of hopefully anybody else going in, young, dumb, full of what, don't make the same mistake I did, because even though I got out, worked the private sector for a while, in and out of the Middle East, predominantly in and out of Baghdad, some parts of Africa and that sort of thing. It was good. It was good money. It wasn't the same. Like working with awesome guys, ex-regiment guys, but it wasn't the same. Like the work was different. Like some might call it babysitting, television, media, and that sort of thing is what I was doing for the most part. So what's this? Good coffee. A sports scientist once told me shagging between 5 and 9 times per day was the best preparation for selection. Anything more, and you risk peaking too early. Crack up. Well, I can tell you what, I know I wasn't doing that. What's this? This is another one on selection, or actually not really selection. So it's got here, Joe. Joe, you've said you wouldn't change anything from your preparations for selection, but which is true, I have said that. But I've also heard you say you wouldn't recommend the way you trained to other people. Why is that? Question mark. As you said, it worked for you twice, first go. So why wouldn't you recommend the same thing to or for others who say they're keen to go and serve in the same place? And that's a cool question. I don't think I've been asked that one before. I've definitely been asked if I would change anything in my preparations for selection. And this person's right. Like I have said, no, I wouldn't. I mean, the prep that I did for selection, excuse me, it worked. Is this one of those moments where your words come back to bite you? My thoughts there, you're right. That is what I've said. I wouldn't change anything. Then you've got here, heard you say wouldn't recommend. But I've heard you say you wouldn't recommend the way you train to other people. Why is that? Yes, that's true as well. So both counts. I still stick with that second part in terms of I wouldn't recommend the way that I train. One, it's impossible for me to remember exactly the way that I trained leading up to selection in NZ and or Australia. I've got pretty good main landmarks and reference points in terms of what I did. The weight of my pack that I worked up to in NZ, as an example, is very clear and prominent in my mind for a number of reasons. One, not only the weight and weighing it and seeing the number on the scales, but also the fact that I needed to be lifted pulled up off the ground by a couple of guys in the barracks when I got to that weight, and would go out and do some pack marches with that. And so the reason that I share that is because a few things. Everybody's different. Everybody's bodies and stuff will adapt differently to what they need to do. Not everybody needs the same stimulus in order to get the same results. So in this case, not everybody needs to train the same way in order to go through selection and pass, because it's not a one size fits all. And so because of that, what I've tried to do instead is provide a generic blueprint or training plan which is freely available, which people can then take and then modify and tweak and adapt to suit whatever their needs are, or whatever stage they're at with regards to their preparation for selection. So, what we got here? But I've heard you say that you wouldn't recommend the way you train to other people. Why is that? Probably, yeah. So why is that? Why wouldn't I recommend? I don't know that people, and I've shared this with other people that I've supported with regards to their training, and some have been successful in going through and passing selection. I don't know that people need to train up to carrying an 80 kg pack for 2.5 hours or longer. You know what I mean? On, out the pack marching when you're not, well, actually in Australia, you get pretty close. In NZ, you probably get fairly close to that weight too. But it isn't at that weight. I don't think it was anyway. And so just the potential for injury potentially would increase. As I think back to some of the days where there were like 4 training sessions in one day, as an example, I don't know that would be helpful, or if that gets to a point whereby it's just borderline truck and fidicarous, and increasing the risk of people getting injured. So most days whilst I was in battalion, like Monday to Friday, most days were 3 training sessions a day. Some days were 4 on those days. And then on the weekends, I'd still be doing a couple of training sessions. So 7 days a week with whatever number that adds up to, high double digits or double digit numbers in terms of training sessions per week. And me knowing what I know now and meeting with other people that didn't train to that sort of volume and level with regards to their preparation, they likely trained hard, or they likely trained smarter while still having hard components and elements. It's been a factor in combination of all those sorts of things, like speaking to my mates. Oh, what did you do? How long did you train for? What, is that all you did? And I was just amazed. So taking on board some of that information, looking at some of the potential risks that at least the main reference points that I can remember, that my preparation could potentially lend itself towards to somebody preparing for selection, and then go, yeah, I don't think, yeah, I'll cut that out, don't need to have that. Here's a basic generic plan, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and here you go. This is, tweak this from here. If you want to make it harder, extra harder, go for it. If it's hard enough as it is, then cool, that's awesome as well. But yeah, hopefully, does that answer the question? You said you wouldn't change anything when we pray. Yep, that's right. But I've also heard you say you wouldn't recommend the way you train. Yeah, so that's why I say that in terms of why I wouldn't recommend, or I wouldn't, one, I can't remember exactly how I trained. It's not like I kept a journal and was documenting every single day, the hours, what I was eating, etc. Like I didn't do that prior to any selections. But any of my mates from Victor Company and stuff that saw the work and stuff that I was putting in, and the guys that were helping me up off the barrack floor in Hinton Barracks to get up and then go with my pack and not be back till blinking late at pitch black and stuff at night after work was already done. They'd probably be the ones that could that could speak to some of that stuff and go, yeah, that fellow was a blinking egg when he was training. and I never came first in any PT sessions too. So like get up, do my morning session with one of the guys, Daniel Cook Fit Life, I think, over in Queensland there at the moment, recently married. So congrats to that, bro. But he was an awesome, influence on my life too, in my preparation for selection. So morning session first, come back, then go over to battalion, report, do battalion PT, and then train again in the evening after the work was done for the day. And then on some of the days there was a lunchtime circuit 3 or 4 times, I think it was 3 times a week, which I would do on a lot of the days. Not every time there's a lunchtime circuit, but yeah, there's often times. So that's why sometimes it'd be 4 sessions in the day, and I still never bloody come first in any PT sessions for battalion. I was still getting blinking spanked by our sergeants and stuff on all the runs. Sergeant Clive Douglas, I think he's Y1 now. Sergeant McIntosh, Sergeant Hutter. Actually, did Sergeant Hutter, was he? Yeah, he was probably ahead of me too. All the corporals and all that sort of thing. And then not to mention the other privates and stuff that I was with. There's a whole bunch of guys just way fitter, faster, stronger than me. So even with all the, maybe that's why I needed to do so much training. just so I could get through. Otherwise, if I didn't do that much, then yeah, I probably wouldn't have got to where I ended up getting to, or wouldn't have passed. So why is that? Twice first, what would you recommend? Things if they're keen as to go. Yeah, so hopefully I've answered that question. Good question. Made me think and dust off the cobwebs and stuff there. And yeah, I've definitely said those things. I wouldn't change anything. And yeah, I don't recommend people train similar to how I did for those reasons. This is pretty funny. Haha, I'm currently 9 years in and no sub sub one course yet. Man, you are see even some of the guys that I went on to sub one with were in a similar boat. They'd been in like I think maybe 6, 7 years. And they hadn't there were some guys like going for that Queen's Baggy award, like 20 years or whatever it is, trying to stay a private. But man, that's good going, bro. John Dot Smith. Congrats to you. Damn stupid course. Yeah, but one of those decisions that I made, and it is what it is. What's this here? Hi, Joe, I'm interested. Would you recommend people to join the SAS given the war crime allegations and the negative effects it has had and is having on SF soldiers? Interesting question. I think I might have done a video not so long ago. Might have been alive. The Australian SAS, probably not these days. Just my take. Like I feel super sad and disappointed for the guys that have been dragged through, and a whole bunch of guys that I don't even know, but that who have also been dragged through the process from whether they're from 2 Commando, whether they're from SASR. And it's a bit, disheartening for me to see. But at the same time, I acknowledge and know that there'll still be plenty of people wanting to go and apply for the SAS regiment because of the brotherhood that's there, the work. It's just sad that the leaders. I think Mark Wales said it, and I think I remember saying this in a video recently in a reaction to Sam Bamford's podcast and his interview with Scott Jones. I think the person that messaged me, or I watched a video, sorry, of Mark Wales doing an interview, and I think I heard him saying something along the lines of, the deal is we agree to risk our life, and you guys, our leaders and the government, agree to have our backs when we come back. Or words to that effect anyway. And I thought, man, yeah, I hadn't looked at it or thought about it that way. But the more I've thought about that, I thought, yeah, that's a good point. Fair enough point. So to your question, would I recommend the Australian regiment? Probably, like from my perspective, probably not. Not that that matters or means anything, but seeing as you've asked. But like I said, I think there's still going to be plenty of people that will put up their hand unselfishly and say, here I am, like send me, I'll go do this job. So, I'd like to think that hopefully you would have thought that Australia and other countries would have learnt after the way veterans were treated after Vietnam, right? Seems like, some of those lessons or any of those lessons haven't really sunk in for some people, and maybe that hasn't sunk in for the Office of the Special Investigator and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's my take. What's that? Would I recommend other countries, or maybe even the UK? Like, just I suppose those two stand out for me, and I'll talk about NZ in a second. But still, to the same question, would I recommend people to join the SAS? Australia stands out to me from a no perspective, just because of recent things and what's been happening and the treatment. Well, I shouldn't say recent; it's been going on for over a decade, right? So the poor treatment of veterans in Australia during their global war on terror time. And then I think probably similarly, the UK SF with war crime allegations and stuff that have happened there, and other people, that should have had the operators' backs, seems like just running for the hills and leaving the operators out to blink and hung out to dry almost. And then so much so, from what I heard in some news clippings or news articles or reports, that a number of UK SF had resigned. I don't know the numbers, and obviously I understand for operational security reasons that they're not going to divulge the exact numbers of how many operators have resigned from UKSF. But disheartening, eh? Like I, feel for those guys, and like I said, and the guys in Australia. NZ, I haven't heard anything like in terms of war crime. Like NZ's pretty low key, eh? Like keeps to itself, keeps well and truly under the radar, so to speak. Yeah, there's selection, obviously documentaries about the New Zealand SAS and that sort of thing, and people know about actions and service and stuff that they've done and different conflicts, and like the likes of Jamie Pinnell and Steve Askin and that patrol, and Jamie's book that he's got out, which highlights, Steve and his team's efforts just in that one. Like there's a whole bunch of other experiences and stories that guys from NZ have been involved in as well. The Willie Apiata stuff with his VC, and yeah, just a whole bunch of others, which we may likely never hear about, which is a real shame, from the perspective of, I think, like anything, same with me as a 14-year-old boy, seeing the black book with the 3 letters SAS and then opening it and seeing all the pictures, like that's inspiring for a number of people. And it lands where it's meant to land at the right time, the right day, the right situation for people who then find themselves with a burning desire to want to go and serve in a place like that. And, with the access of social media these days and the ability to have some of those stories captured, preserved, shared, whatever, those same situations and stories and experiences can land on the eyes, hearts, and ears, and minds of those who are meant to hear them, so that they can go and, dare I say, answer the call, so to speak. So NZ's probably a different kettle of fish. If there was a whole bunch of war crime allegations and stuff being made against NZ operators, I'd probably feel similar to what I've just shared about, in response to your question, about the SAS, given the war crime allegations and stuff. So yeah, that's my take at the moment. Not because Australia or the UK are not capable, not at all. But like I said, there's always going to be people that will want to join those units in both of those countries as well. And same way it is here in NZ. What's this? Sorry. Any tips for people that are ambitious but struggle staying consistent? What was maybe some of the stuff you did back in the day, prepping, etc.? Oh man, yeah, like I still try to do it to this day, like that consistency and discipline. Thanks, John Smith. That discipline and consistency has stuck with me, throughout my military career to what I've done ever since. It also plays a part as well, being a parent and wanting to try to set a good example as well as you can for those that you love and care about. So, tips for people that are ambitious, struggle to stay consistent. Like, again, if I use that piece of what you've got there, John, and the ambitious piece, I was super ambitious to get into the regiment. I had never had any ambition to do subject courses or to be promoted or whatever. Dare I say, to lead, because of what I'd always felt or had seen. Like, operators led wherever they were. Everybody had a voice. Orders come around. Yep, you're quiet. No questions till after orders. All that sort of stuff. But if there were questions to be asked, and if people had a different opinion or perspective, like there were definitely conversations that would take place after. So that stuck out to me. But if the driver is strong enough, I've found for me, it was pretty easy to maintain that consistency. And to be fair, the discipline as well, because there's a heck of a lot of mornings where I never felt like, and even still to this day, there's still a heck of a lot of mornings I don't feel like getting up in the morning and training. That's just the truth. Um, there may be people out there that just spring up out of bed and like, oh, I can't wait to train, and it's bloody miserable and dark and raining and whatever outside. But that's not me. Like, probably more often than not, I'm the opposite. I'm like, this sucks. But I try to just block that out of my head and just think of, how good I'll feel after, because I always feel good after, even if the weather is miserable. If I've gotten up and moved and done training, I can't think of a time where I've not felt good after. Maybe not good during, because I'm breathing heavy and hard and whatever, and maybe there's a bit of pain and stuff, but always feel good after. So the ambition, if somebody's ambitious, like you're saying here, struggle to stay consistent, I would question, potentially, like, how strong is that drive? Depends on what that ambition is. Is the ambition to be promoted? Is the ambition to start that business? Is the ambition to whatever it is? Generally, if that ambitious endeavor is strong enough, I've found for me, um, it's it's been, yeah, dare I say, easier to keep moving, to stay consistent, stay disciplined. Um, it's definitely some mornings are worse than others, but once I get up and then I'm sitting there and like I'm awake now, just little steps. It might take me a little bit longer than usual to get ready and get the socks and shoes on, and put on a few extra layers as it gets colder this time of year. But it's just a consistency and routine and discipline that just sort of takes over. And once you're in it, as you would likely know, and anybody else, like once you're into doing that thing, whatever it is, whether it's training or doing your work or whatever, it's just almost like muscle memory, and things just start. You just get into the flow and you just carry on. So, what was maybe some of the stuff you did back in the day preparing? Yeah, so I still try to do that today, like in terms of not only from a physical perspective, but these days with YouTube and that sort of stuff and doing content, that's like I've set out my day. So I've got my plan and my schedule for what I'm doing each day. As an example, like I try to complete 5 videos um, each day. So finish those 5, like the recording, the editing, the uploading of those, schedule them, and then if I can do extra, like I'll do extra, uh, or throw in a live like this. So the live videos are typically extra videos, I should say. So, and that's just a goal that I set for myself. But it's like some days are blinking like challenging, especially when I end up having technical difficulties, like I had some today. I had to re-edit 2 videos after I'd already edited them and uploaded them, and then saw that the audio wasn't synced. So thankfully, I didn't bloody delete the raw footage. So when I uploaded, like went through all the uploading, edited, re-uploaded, then uploaded to YouTube, or like downloaded, then uploaded to YouTube, that takes ages, like takes time. And then when I clicked play to test it, which I should have checked it before I uploaded it, the bloody thing was like watching a bad Chinese movie, like what I just tried to imitate then. Like everything was out of whack. My bloody the audio was no good. And I was just like, and I did that twice in a row. So those frustrations happen, but it's like the goal is like I've got to get these 5 videos done. So yeah, it's just head down, backside up, and then get into that. So yeah, hopefully that helps answer some of that. But the consistency, like if the goal and the drive and the ambition is strong enough, you'll find a way to get that stuff done of what you need to do. And yes, it can be annoying. Yes, it can be painful at times. Yes, it can be bloody time consuming. But whatever those challenges or obstacles, perceived obstacles may be, like again, if that drive and then that ambition is strong enough, then just figure it out and work towards doing the thing that you said you would do. You will struggle, like there's times where I struggle with, and there will be obviously times going forward where I'll probably struggle as well to achieve and get the things done that I need to each day. But for me, I like to think that it's not going to be through any sort of lack of trying to stay the course and getting that done. There have been some times where I've had to stay up till early hours in the morning to get those 5 videos done, um, just because of some technical difficulties, power outages, and internet blinking, dropping in and out, and that sort of stuff. So things outside my control. But what was in my control was the decision and the commitment that I've made to getting that done. So just staying the course. Hopefully that helps, bro. That's my ramble for that anyway. Um, Lord Mo, enjoy your videos. Thanks for them. Did you ever train with the Singapore Special Forces in your career? Unfortunately, no. Didn't train with the Singaporean Special Forces. But thank you for, sorry, I should have said first, thank you for the kind comments at Lord Mo. John Smith, thank you, brother. I know a lot of boys prepping at the moment, and they always mention your videos. Keep it coming. Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, I'm super humbled by some of the kind supporters over there in Oz, and been fortunate enough to work with some of the lads over there in Australia, and some with have had some success, which is cool. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, Brian, for the questions. What's this? Joe, would you consider running for local? I'm going to finish off these other questions anyway, rather than waiting till, because the next live isn't until next week, Monday. So by then I'll probably have other messages and stuff that have come through. So if anybody's here, if they're still here, you're still here. If not, all good. People can have a look at it later. Joe, would you consider running for local council or getting into politics one day? Never say never, eh? Who knows? It's definitely not high on my list of priorities, let's put it that way. But I'll tell you what, there is some stuff that's been happening in that political space, like in Australia and even here in NZ to a degree, that it just, I think I might have mentioned earlier in this video, if I was in Australia right now, I would 100% be looking to vote again at the next election or whatever elections they had coming up, and it would not be for that twat bloody Albanese. or that twat Hasty as well over in Perth in the seat of, what's he got, seat of Canning or whatever. Bloody clown. Anyway, I digress. Never say never. It's not high on my radar. Who knows? Maybe one day. Like, I don't know what that process involves, but like anything, just it would take some time to look into it and then ask hopefully some decent enough questions and get some answers and then start progressing in whatever way, shape or form that look like. But no, it's definitely not high on my list of things to do. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, the frustrations, technical difficulties and stuff aside, doing what I get to do now. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked and happy. Do you reckon it's just a matter of time before we have grooming gangs here in NZ like they have in the UK? Well, that's a heavy question. I've seen the stuff, some of the reactions that you're doing to Tommy Robinson. Good on you. Or do you reckon we already have them? Interesting. Here in NZ. Sensitive topic, for in terms of what's been happening over there in UK and or what's been laid bare in terms of the bloody rubbish that's been happening over there and the cover-ups and all that sort of stuff. A matter of time. I don't know what New Zealand's immigration laws are like, but if they're anything like the UK's and or Australia's, probably. And to the second part, like when you say, is it just a matter of time? And then to the second part, or do you reckon we already have them here in NZ? I don't know, probably as well. Who knows, right? I haven't seen anything in the news from a New Zealand perspective as to whether or not we have these grooming/rape gangs here in NZ. You'd like to think that you don't, but at the same time, you'd like to think that child sex trafficking doesn't happen either, around the world, or that sexual, physical abuse to people's loved ones and other people doesn't happen, but all that rubbish does happen. You know what? Actually, a thought that comes to mind right now is that citizen vigilante or civil vigilante, one or the other. The movie with Armie Hammer, anyway, or Arnie Hammer, something like that. That's a cool movie, like low budget, some far-fetched scenes and stuff in there, but overall, I think the message is good, and the movie itself is good. But imagine that, like, how about there's grooming gangs in these countries? How about like the citizens forge their anti-grooming gangs, whether that's made up of ex-soldiers and or who knows, maybe YouTube might go, oh, you can't be saying anything like that on YouTube. But here's a thought that just pops into my head now. Like, if these are being conducted, and it seems like it is in the UK, by these immigrants, Pakistani heritage and that sort of stuff, and forming these grooming/rape gangs, which has been proven to have been the case. And there's also evidence, apparently, based on reports that suggests or shows that people that should have been doing something about it to protect the victims covered it up instead. Imagine if the power's with the people, right, to vote who goes into power and all that sort of thing. Imagine if people organize themselves, organize groups that countered that stuff. That'd be a good cause, eh? That'd be a very worthwhile cause, especially if there's something that's happening there, like, law and politics and government, and who knows, like I said, maybe YouTube close this video down, or maybe I'll get questioned about stuff. But wouldn't that be a treat, eh? Like, it seems like organized crime and stuff can just, they weave in and around doing all these, not even things within the law. They do all these conniving, corrupt, bloody activities. They get away with it. What's that group? They did a movie on the guy. Oh man, he travels around and they help rescue young ones that bloody have been exposed to all that child sex trafficking stuff. Like, probably going down the wrong rabbit hole here, but this question is the one that started it. So anyway, that's a thought that popped into my head. I think that's awesome work, what that fella does. How cool would it be to be a part of a group like that, goes into these other countries, rescues these children? It's probably something that's happening in all of our countries, though. So maybe people getting organized within their own countries and blinking, yeah, going and stopping that. Who knows, eh? Just an idea. Do you reckon it's just a matter of time? Yeah, bloody hell. It's no good anyway. What's this? Have you thought of ways to try and incentivize people to subscribe to your channel by perhaps saying you'll do a specific challenge if you hit a certain number of subscribers or followers? Question mark. I see other people do this with some success on their live streams. Perhaps it could work for you and your channel. Actually, I'll be honest. I haven't given it a lot of thought, but I did put up one post a while back, ages ago. Might have even been last year. But I made the number ridiculously high, a number that I was like, yeah, there's no way this is going to happen anytime soon. But I haven't done anything since then. I was like, oh yeah, I think 100,000 subscribers or something like that, and I'll go and walk the escarpment here in Wellington. It's about a 9 kilometer one way, or 9.1 kilometers from. I forget the name. I know where it is, but I forget the car park train station. And then do the walk over the escarpment is the name of the walking trail. It's a hearty trail. Like I've done it probably 3 times, I think, in total now. Both times I've gone there and back, so about an 18-kilometer round trip, some steep stairs and all that sort of thing, up and across, and some nice views and stuff as well. So I said, oh, if I reach that number, then I'd go and do it with my pack and a jerry can, a full jerry can, 20-liter jerry can. But I think I put that down because I knew it's highly unlikely that I'm going to reach that number anytime soon. Do I think I can reach 100,000 subscribers? Yeah, I do at some point. Might not be this year, next year, whatever, but I think at some point, some years down the track, there's every possibility that I can hit that. So yeah, I appreciate the thought. Have a thought of ways other than that? No, I haven't put out any other ways to try to incentivize people to subscribe to my channel. Maybe I'll take suggestions on a live stream or something one day. But then I'd be wanting to say, yeah, maybe people throw suggestions or whatever. But no, it hasn't been something that I've given any more thought to other than that one YouTube post that will be somewhere on my YouTube channel under posts. This one's like, there's been a couple of people actually, but I'm going to read this one out. So, hi Joe, I hope you don't mind, mate, but I've reached out to a few people and asked them to consider interviewing you. So if you get hit up by the likes of Sean Ryan or Joe Rogan one day, you can thank me then. Love your work, mate. You've got what's that? You've got elite optimism. I'll put it that way to the person that sent this through. There've been some other kind followers of the channel as well that have reached out to some other people about me and my channel. They actually, unlike this one though, still thank you, but unlike this one, the other people that before they reached out to some other people, as far as I know, not Sean Ryan or Joe Rogan, they hit me up first and asked if it would be all right, if I would be all right with them reaching out to some other hosts of other podcasts and stuff in Australia to interview me. And I said, oh, hey, if they want to, if they want to do that, I've got no issue with it. Thank them for it. It has been done before. That was the only reason I got on the Combat Story podcast, was because, again, a kind follower in Australia reached out to Ryan Fugit, I believe. That's what he told me anyway. So, yeah, like if people do that, it's humbling. It's not expected or required. It's not asked for. Those that have gone out of their way and done it just off their own back, cool. He may be not lying, but he may be joking about the Sean Ryan and Joe Rogan levels. But yeah, I would be extremely shocked if anything like that ever happened. So, but I like I'm grateful for the message and the work that people have done on my behalf. So thanks for that. And to be fair too, Zero Limits podcast in Australia has been kind and offered, and I've said to them I'd rather do it in person, just like I'm doing the other ones. Yeah, I would like to, because there are some people over in Australia that I'd love to go over, and hopefully things will work out soon enough. Hopefully, fingers crossed, so that I can get over there and do some interviews. Maybe something like what Carl Stefanovic did when he went to the UK and was doing some interviews, and sadly ended up, or sadly, maybe for the better, lost his job, but is still super successful in what he's doing anyway. And I have no doubt, I just have no doubt he's going to be even more successful, with regards to whether people like him or not. From what I've seen of him, seems all right to me. So yeah, just wish him all the best. So yeah, hopefully everything works out whereby I can go over and just sort of kill a few birds with, well, I shouldn't say that, tick off a few things at the same time with regards to the trip over there anyway. Last couple, what do your family think of you being on social media? Has it had any negative effects on them that you know of? Not that I know of, the second part. If it is, or if it has, they haven't let me know. And what do your family think of you being on social media? I don't know that they think about it at all, to be honest. Probably my wife is probably the only one, or the main one, because people have asked questions of me, of her, so I've pulled her in for a few. But yeah, other than that, what do your family think of it? To be honest, I haven't asked them what they think. Probably because they know what I'm like, and they'll be like, "Well, it wouldn't matter if we told Dad." I'm sure when the kids are at school. Actually, I know for a fact when some of our kids were still in school, like they didn't like it, but I didn't care because I wasn't doing it for them. Well, actually, that's not true. Part of it was for them to step outside their comfort zone, and some future point in time they might go, "Oh, well, I can do this thing," because they are very capable, but haven't always had the confidence in themselves to step out and do something that might be seen to be cringe, or like, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing, like, why would you do that?" So as a means and as a way to just try to show them and go, "Hey, doesn't matter, you're never too old to step into doing something that you're unfamiliar with, and you're never too old to step into something where you're probably going to suck and look bad and sound bad at doing. But as long as you keep turning up and keep striving, that consistency and discipline and that sort of thing, and learning in the process, I have no doubt you'll get better." So yeah, maybe a bit of a combination. They know I probably won't really be phased. If something was like super, just having a massive negative effect on them in some small way, like, I'd like to think that they'd tell me about it, but none of the family have said anything to me. So in regards to any negative effects, based on your question. And then the last one, I think this was just more of like a chat with one of the kind supporters in IG. Does NZ have union corruption like we do here in Australia, supported by members of your government? Our Victoria state is in a shambles here. Yeah, like, there's some untidy stuff, eh? I won't delve into all of that. There probably is, like, to your question in terms of answering it, but without delving into details. Yeah, there probably, like, there's corruption everywhere, eh? So, which is sad and disappointing, and people are elected into these positions, expected and trusted to have the best interest of their people at heart and working for them, and sadly, doesn't always happen. So yeah, there's some clowns out there that choose to do their own thing. Man, that took an hour 20, just over an hour 20, to get through all of those questions. Appreciate people's time and the questions that come through. And for the questions that popped up here in the chat, I don't know if I think that's all of them. I don't think there's anybody on the live left anyway. And I say that because I don't see any more questions come through. So thankfully, I don't think I missed any, which is good. But anyway, for those, if you're still stuck around, and if there is anybody here, look after yourself. Enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of your week. Was it hump day? It's hump day today, done and dusted here in NZ. So you're on the downhill stretch into the weekend. So hopefully you enjoy the rest of your week, and everything goes well for you. If not, like, just adapt, figure it out, which you're more than capable of doing, and crack on. Just keep moving forward. So until the next video, we'll see you on the next one. Ka kite, peeps. All right. No, it said that there's still three people next to there. Anyway.